Hello, everybody. This is FIDE Master Dalton Perrine with Chess University and, from chessuniversity.com. And this is another video in the Tactics Time video series that we're going to be doing today. In this video series, I'm again going to be working on solving different tactics trainer positions here on chess.com. With each of the positions, I'm going to first of all be showing you the tactic. I'll give you the chance to pause the video so you can work on solving the problem yourself. And then I'll be explaining my thought process and showing the solution to the puzzle at the end of each position. So, without any more waiting, let's go ahead and jump into some tactics here. Hit the start button and see what we get. Okay, so black here has made the move bishop takes e5. It is white's move in this position here. Go ahead and pause the video and see what you can come up with for white here, white to move. Okay, so in this position here, it is white's move. I don't see any checks right now. No way to check black's king. The only capture I see, well, the only reasonable one, I see bishop takes e5, which will just be met by queen takes e5. And I also see queen takes a8, but the rook will just take back on a8, and I don't see any special follow-up there. I can make a pretty big threat by attacking the queen. Usually, if you're looking for threats, hitting the queen is almost always a good idea. The strongest move looks like rook to d7 here. Rook d7 threatens both the queen and also adds an additional attacker to this f7 pawn. Actually, rook d7, if the queen moves away, I can pick up f7 and then pick up h7 and checkmate black there, it looks like. So rook d7, is there any bad thing that black can do there? Well, I mean, black can sacrifice the queen, but then I take back on d7 and still keep the threat on f7. Rook d7, if they take my bishop, I'll just take f7 and still checkmate. So it's really hard to guard that f7 square without, obviously you're going to lose the queen though. So it looks like rook d7 strong. He does guard f7, but we can go ahead and just pick up the queen, I believe. Is there anything better? I don't think so. Take the queen, and we are completely winning at this point. If it had taken one extra move in this position, if it had played bishop takes c7, then the next move after that would be queen down to f6, going for a combination with the bishop and queen on the dark square diagonal, and then there's no way to stop the mate on g7 or h8 after that. So it could have continued this one extra move, but we're definitely winning in this position regardless, once we win the queen. Okay, let's see the next one. So it is black's move in this position. Okay, so go ahead and pause the video here. Think about what you would do if you were black, and it looks like white's pawn is going downwards towards us. So black's move here, go ahead and figure out what you would do if you were black. Okay, so in this position here, it's black's move right now. This one seems pretty straightforward enough. We pretty much have to take the rook on a3 in order to, get to a position where we can hope to get a draw, because there's definitely no way we're winning with just a king and a bishop against the king. So taking on a3, if we don't take the rook, he'll just move away and use this extra material to win. So we're going to take a3, the king takes back. Now I'm assuming it's going to make us play out the endgame, or at least I hope it does. You have to be very precise in this king and pawn endgame. One small little misstep can cost you the game. Let's see if it makes us play it out. So what you want to do essentially is keep your king in front of the pawn, obviously, so it doesn't promote. But you have to make sure on certain moves that you play correctly. Doesn't look like it's going to make us play it out. Let me see if I can put this on an analysis board real quick. Let's see. Okay, it does let me do this real quick. Cool. So bishop takes, king takes, king to b5. If white pushes the pawn, you always want to generally step back one square, 2 squares in front of the pawn here. These other moves do technically still draw at the moment, but king b6, king a4, and then you want to step in front of the king. You want to, this is called the opposition. You want to get 2 squares in front of the king, check, block the pawn, and then again step back 2 in front of the pawn. You don't want to go to the side because white can get the opposition there. Here, opposition, matching the king, check, block here. And then this is especially the important spot. When it's up to this point, one of these moves will, going to b8 draws the game, going to a8 or going to c8 ends up losing the game because of the opposition idea. If you go to b8, king comes in, check here. White can't make progress because he's going to stalemate you. If you instead go to a8, white's going to get that zugzwang idea. You have to move, and now you're not stalemated. You have to move your king, and then white will promote. And it's the same idea if you go to c8. So king to c8, king to c6, b7, and then you're still going to lose because white gets to promote. Okay, so I know that's a little bit of a tangent, went a little bit off, off the course of the tactics there. But let's move on to our next position here. Okay, so in this position, white has just made the move bishop to g5. It's black's move here. Time for black to figure out what to do. Go ahead and pause the video, and we'll give yourself the chance to figure out the answer, and then we'll talk about it in a couple seconds. Okay, so in this position here, white just played bishop to g5, attacking our queen. I don't see any checks. I guess rook takes f3 check is possible. So the main thing I see here is this lineup of the rook aiming towards the king. At the moment, the knight is pinned, so the knight is not actually protecting this bishop on g5, because if the knight moves, the king will get captured. So there's two different ways you can take advantage of this. You can do rook takes knight, and then queen takes bishop. But the best thing to do, you don't even need to give the rook up. You can actually just go ahead and pick up the bishop due to the knight being pinned. Once the king moves away and the knight's not pinned anymore, then you'll have to move your queen because then your queen will be attacked. But at the moment, the knight cannot take the queen due to the pin on the f-file there. So just a couple little tactics there. I believe we got through just a couple there. I think we got through 3 or something like that. So anyways, just a short little video here for the tactics time. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. I'll see you guys around in a future video for chessuniversity.com. Hopefully I'll be able to see you again. And I will talk with everybody again in another video. All right. Bye, everybody.